Hello, welcome to Mayhem, Murder, and the Macabre. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Angie.
And this is our second season, but this season we're doing something a little different. Sorry, Angie's full screen. We are not only are you going to be able to hear us on Podbean and your favorite podcast platforms, thank you, but we're going to give a whirl, try to do a YouTube version of this as well. So for those of you that have listened last year, we're on season 1 with us. Hi, this is what we look like.
I'm not sure that they really might have wanted to see what I look like.
I know, right? Yeah, and for those of you that don't like what we look like,
that's okay. Just don't tell us because it'll hurt my feelings.
Yeah, don't tell us, and then just switch back to listening.
Right.
And just ignore the YouTube channel. So first of all, I want to say thank you to our listeners for giving us the opportunity to take a little hiatus over the holidays. We were able to be gone basically from Thanksgiving,
I think so,
through to the new year, obviously.
Right.
So it was nice. I don't think we would have been able to work it in with everything else that was going on, to do the research, be part of the podcast, whatever.
Yeah, the holidays are way too busy for that.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. So, also, please forgive us because we have never done YouTube before. I talk with my hands. I apologize. I'm going to try really hard not to.
I think because we're Southern, we talk with our hands.
Right. And with accents.
I have an accent?
You do.
No.
You do.
Who knew?
I really will try to be better at that, but I have ADD, so you'll see me like.
Well, and I have no idea where to look.
We don't really know exactly where the camera is, so bear with us. We're going to try to get better as we go along. For those of you tuning in on just the podcast, sorry. We're going to work out these kinks too, so you don't have to listen to us work through the YouTube issues as we go. Okay, but thank you all for giving us that little bit of break, time to spend with our families, time to enjoy the holidays. I had a great Christmas. Had a
Happy New Year.
New Year. Yeah, Thanksgiving was good. I got to spend Thanksgiving with you.
Yes.
My family got to spend Thanksgiving with your family, and that was a lot of fun. The other big thing, YouTube is not the only big thing that's happening on season 2 for us. The other big thing, for those of you that joined us through season 1, we did only cases in South Carolina, because those of you that followed along know that we are from South Carolina. We are in South Carolina. We're branching out.
We're going worldwide.
We are. We are no longer going to be confined to our little slice of the pie, our pie-shaped state. We're going to kind of branch out a little bit. So big things happening. A lot of excitement for us. I don't know, am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
Oh, we're already starting this season 2 off with a bang, because as we set up to do all of this, the police came to the door. Angie and I are both like, we're in our place of business. It's after hours, obviously, but we're in our place of business, which is why you still see a Christmas display, because there's, some sales stuff going on.
Right.
But we're both like, we watch him pull up into the parking space right at the door, and we're just
lights on. And not the spinning lights.
No, just the solid lights, just the solid blue lights. And so we both are just sitting here watching him. I watch him get out of the cruiser, walk to the door, and yank on the door before I even try to get out of my seat to unlock the door to let him in.
He's coming in here.
It's like, the only thing I could think was, so the windows of the business are tinted. It just helps us keep kind of the sun out during the warm summer months that we enjoy, or not, here in the South.
Summer.
And hopefully it helps us hold in a little bit of heat during the winter months. It does tend to get cooler during those winter months. The only thing I could think was that because we have the light set up and you can see in a little bit because this light is on, I thought
Right.
somebody's called and said there's something weird going on in that business. You need to go check it out. That was not the call at all. He was very polite. He was looking for someone that was not us.
Right.
Apparently 911 had received a phone call and then hang up from this general vicinity, and they were just doing a welfare check. But unfortunately, if something weird did happen, we missed it because we were trying to set up.
Exactly.
So not feeling
We
like
missed
a
the
great
excitement.
citizen, but there it is. Anything else?
Well, I've had a tragic day.
You had a tragic day?
Yes, you know why.
Oh, yes.
It's
Well, you
very
have
sad.
to tell everybody now.
I lost my AirPods today. Or I don't know when I lost them. They just are not with me any longer.
And
And they're my favorite things.
Angie said to me, they're like an extension of me.
They
And I was like, no,
are.
they really are. She always has her AirPods with her.
Well, and I use them for everything.
For everything, yeah. So, anyway.
It's been
It's
tragedy.
been a rough day for her. I was like, what happened? And then I realized
You should
that's what
have
happened.
known. I've talked about it all day.
I know. I'm so sorry. I even offered her mine.
Well, my husband promised me that we would get me some new ones, so.
Yeah, she wasn't having mine, and I think it's because mine is in a Clemson sleeve, and I
That's
was
not
like, she
true.
doesn't want to use it because it's in a Clemson sleeve.
That's
But
not true.
a couple of other things. First of all, those of you that have been with us through season 1 hear us talk a lot about our friends. We say hey to people, shout outs, things like that.
Mhm.
And you guys have heard me talk about my friend Tracy, who is just amazing. She's in northern Mississippi. Tracy has a son, well, she has a son and a daughter, and they're great kids. But John is should probably have a cape. Because he's
Aw.
firefighter, EMT. I mean, he does all the first responder stuff. A really great guy. She texted me day before yesterday and said, I'm on my way to the ER with him. He is not feeling well. He was on shift, and I think he must have called and said, something's not right. I don't feel well. Gets to the hospital, and the doctors were like, it's either pneumonia or a blood clot. And of course, I immediately
Neither option is good.
Neither option is good, but being a person that survived a blood clot, I know how frightening and the process from coming back from pneumonia can be quite tedious as well, but coming back from a blood clot is a long process. You don't just go, oh, it was last month, I'm great. It's months. You're on blood thinner for 3 to 6 months. You don't breathe. I mean, it takes a long time for the lungs to, mine was pulmonary. It takes a long time for that lung tissue to heal so that you breathe properly again. And then of course, anytime after that, you're at anything you do, you're considered a risk, high risk. So I was going, okay, I don't want anything to be wrong with him, but I'm praying it's not a blood clot. Found out that it is pneumonia. He was admitted to the hospital. So today, with this show, I just want to say that this show is in honor of John. Thank you for everything that you do for your community, and we're praying for your well-being, and that you get healthy soon.
Definitely.
So there's that. And then the one other thing that we wanted to do, I just jokingly told, I almost called you Andrea. I don't even know an Andrea.
She doesn't even know my name.
I don't know an Andrea. The brain. What is your name? No. I just told Angie, I feel like I should be, oh, there he goes. He must have gone over there looking too.
Yeah.
It's so bad. I told
The police officer.
I told
That's who you were talking about.
Angie Andrea that this is where I'm just gonna start calling you my dudette.
Please.
This is how I've got to give you a nickname.
That's perfect.
So when I can't remember your name, I've only known you she's literally my best friend. I've known her for years. Couldn't call her name. I feel like we need to be on an episode of things TikTok made me buy or whatever.
That's Jennifer, not me.
I really have only bought 2 things. off of watching TikTok ads, but we don't normally do this. We really don't endorse things, mainly because nobody pays us to. But if we were to endorse, I feel like we would only endorse things that we used and believed in.
Right.
But I bought 2 things recently, and you actually have one of them as well, that I gotta tell you guys about. So the first one, I don't like breakfast. I love coffee. Season oneers will know we love coffee.
Yeah.
I don't like breakfast. So coffee is typically my breakfast. We joke about, Dunkin' may run on coffee, but we definitely do. So I saw...
Obviously, I do like breakfast. I like food in general.
Well, no, I like food too. I just don't love breakfast. My problem is I like to sleep, and I would prefer to sleep than to get up in time to make breakfast.
Mhm.
So I saw these people doing this thing where they put their coffee in with a protein shake, and they would make this delicious whatever. So I said, New Year's resolutions and all. I'm going to try to do better. It doesn't hurt anybody to have a little extra protein.
Right.
I would much rather be a vegetable girl than a protein girl anyway, so this is good. So, I bought the BlendJet. I'm not gonna lie, I like it. I really do like it.
Yeah. You've used it for the last couple days.
I've used it for the last couple of days. Angie always brings me coffee because she's like the best friend in the whole wide world. And she brought me a black coffee today. And so it was great because I just poured my protein shake in and my black coffee. And then I put in collagen powder.
Yeah.
And I mixed it up. This is my second one. I actually did have one for breakfast, and then I fixed another one for lunch. And this was how much time we had to eat lunch, drink lunch.
Yeah.
But I really like it. Lavender, purple, favorite color. I won't show that bottle because everybody's seen those bottles. The other thing, and I actually bought this as a present for someone, and ended up...
Not me.
No, not
I
you.
had to buy my own.
You did have to buy your own, and I should have bought yours. But Angie texted me this morning to let me know that this also comes in lavender. I did not realize that at the time, so I'm a little sad because I didn't order mine in lavender.
I don't think the lavender one was out when you ordered yours. I really don't.
But, and apparently this is not a new thing. Like, people know about this. I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
But somebody came in one day and they were talking about
The Stanley Cup.
Okay. I thought the Stanley Cup was
A hockey
award. Yeah, like the gold standard in hockey. And it is, mind you. But it is also a tumbler.
Right.
And it's really cool. And it's done a
Yours
very
is
good
green.
job.
Mine is pink.
Mine is eucalyptus. I don't even think that's the right. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh. Well, my only issue is mine has a clear top and hers has a white top, and I wanted the white top.
I would be okay with clear top, but we can't
switch
trade because
because of this.
yeah. I mean, I guess we could, but then it would just look weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it comes in lavender, so if you love purple, there you go. Okay, so those are my 2 things that I was like, I really want people to know about this.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. I
Oh,
got
my
an
word.
itch. Sorry. Does your tag ever itch?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Also, because we don't have a set place where we record, we just kind of record wherever we can find time and whatever.
Mhm.
You'll see us here. Sometimes you'll see us at Angie's house. If you see us at Angie's house, you will see the mascots.
Yes.
Season oneers know who the mascots are. We have co-host in Angie's Puppies, and they're fabulous.
They're
but
the
they
cutest
do
puppies
love
ever.
to get in your lap
Mhm.
while you're podcasting. So
They do,
They will
and
make an appearance.
They also like to climb around your neck.
They do. For whatever reason, I'm the only person that they do this to, but I have a puppy who's not a puppy anymore. He's about 65 pounds, but he always liked to drape himself around my neck.
Well, I still call them the puppies, but they're actually a little over a year old now.
Yeah,
so-
they're still puppies.
They are.
And your dogs are little. My dogs are big.
Yes.
Little dogs to me will be puppies from the time they're born to the time they get their wings.
Right.
So, and
Their names are Jojo and Jimmy. Jojo's name is actually Jolene, but we call her Jojo. And then Jimmy's name is just Jimmy.
And I call him Slim Jim. And I don't really know why. And then we have a friend, Dupree, that calls him Jimmy Dean.
He does.
So, I think that was really everything. Like, I
think so.
feel like people that tune in on YouTube, you'll figure it out. If you have questions, just send them to us.
And
Just
again,
like-
no, please don't send ugly things. It's just
Yeah.
not nice.
No, it's not nice. We're very fragile. Thin skin.
Everything hurts my feelings.
Soft spoken. No, anyway.
I wouldn't say I'm soft spoken.
No, I'm definitely not soft spoken. I'm from the South. Loud and proud. But yeah, so we're just here for a good time, and we enjoy true crime, and so I like to research and we like to talk about it and whatever. So, if you enjoy that, then come along with us. If not, we're not offended. Just don't be mean. Thanks. Okay, so I guess we can jump right in. There's a lot to unpack for this season opener. Again, this is season 2, episode 1. And we're going to go way back. Those of you that were with us last season will remember I say a lot, the further back in history with crimes that you go, the harder it becomes a lot of times, because there's not the record keeping,
Exactly.
there's not the fact checking, just various things like that. And this is one of those cases, and it is kind of the thing that is frustrating to me about this case, is that I feel like there's a lot of speculation and not necessarily a lot of
Fact.
that we can verify as solid fact.
Yeah.
And you'll kind of see that come around. I will say this, I don't know, because we've not done YouTube before. With Podbean, we are on a time, and I know, like a time frame. I know we've taken a good bit of time kind of goofing off and being funny and welcome back, and all of that. We always do try to kind of keep you up to date if there are things going on in our world, or if there's things that we need to address. However, but not normally this much time, so just bear with us as we work out kinks. Also, I am queen of butchering the King's English, so bear with me. Also, I will say names wrong. I will say places wrong. I do have an accent that sometimes makes it hard to understand me.
No, you have less of an accent than I do.
No, I don't.
Now you're exaggerating. I don't have to exaggerate.
But again, just be gentle if I say it wrong or do whatever. So we're going to go way back, and I will give you the information that I have. We'll get as much as we can into this first episode. This is most likely going to spill into a second episode, not for any reason other than this first case ties in interestingly with the second case that we want to cover.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not going to give you a spoiler alert. We'll get there when we get there. So, like I said, there's a lot to unpack, so let's do this. We're going to cover childhood and early life. On May 16th of 1861, Herman Webster Mudgett was born to parents, I know Angie's loving the name, was born to parents
Makes me laugh.
Levi Horton Mudgett and Theodate Page Price.
Okay.
So this name may not immediately ring bells for you unless you are a true crime junkie, because this person is actually known more by an alias that they assume later. And again, we'll get there, but I don't want to give you all of the right away.
Right.
So Herman was the third of 5 children, and the Mudgetts were first generation Americans. So their parents were English. They had come this is like the beginning of this family in
Right.
the United States. He had a very normal childhood and was raised by hardworking, respectable parents. Nobody, in a lot of these cases, you look back at the childhood and you go, oh my goodness, they grew up in ridiculous craziness. No
Mhm.
wonder they turned out the way they did. This family seemed to be completely normal. There wasn't a past of immorality. You didn't see abuse. You didn't see all of those things that you would expect to see.
Which just goes to prove that it's not, sometimes it's just the person.
Right.
It's not anything that made them that
Right.
way.
And we talk about nature versus nurture. And this is one of those things where you go,
Yeah.
sometimes there's just a bad seed. So, like I said, these are first English immigrants, are descendants of first English immigrants. I'll get that out in a minute. And this family settled in Gilmanston, New Hampshire. Herman was a very good student. He made great grades, and he really kind of went to pretty respectable schools. I can't imagine in that time 5 children, although parents being hardworking, I can't imagine that with 5 children, they would have been uber rich.
Yeah, maybe not.
But I mean, maybe they were.
But
I don't know. It could have been the Biltmores, and they had money to spare.
But it doesn't sound like they were in poverty
No,
by any stretch.
And like I said, he was a loner. He didn't get on with other children very well, but he had that intelligence. And I think sometimes the more intelligent a child is, sometimes we kind of give them a little bit of a little leeway as far as, well, maybe they're awkward. We see that some even in today's society. But Herman had a condition called a turn in the eye. And essentially what that is he couldn't look anyone direct, like one eye went one way, the other. So it never looked like he was looking directly at you.
Okay.
I don't know that we would think a lot about that now. You and I talked about that because, again, me having ADD, I can make eye contact with you, but my brain is working. I'm looking here. Everything grabs my attention. And as I'm talking, my eyes are all over the place.
Well, and like I told you, I don't know if this is just me, but it makes me uncomfortable when someone makes like direct eye
Yeah.
contact and wants to hold my gaze. Yes, that.
Yeah.
That just makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
And it makes me uncomfortable to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I do think, I feel like sometimes you can tell when somebody's uncomfortable with that. And when I feel like I'm making a person uncomfortable with that, sometimes I will avert my eyes a little bit, or I try not to make quite as much eye contact. But
Everybody probably thinks I'm shady because I won't like look at them.
they say, it's Angie Shady. Chicka chicka.
Well, the real Slim Shady, please stand up.
Anyway, of course, back in the 1800s, there was a lot of emphasis put on being a respectable person and making eye contact. That was thought to be a sign of honesty. And if you didn't make eye contact, it was believed that you were not an honest person.
Right.
So this poor child from the get-go is kind of shunned by society because he's not making that eye contact.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where it all went off. I don't know. But it made him seem untrustworthy to people. So like I said, he he actually attended excellent schools and thrived academically. He graduated at 16.
Oh, wow.
Now, first of all, never wanted to be a teacher. I thank God for teachers. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
I never wanted that job. I probably would have not made it past the first smart mouth, but whatever. He's 16 and took teaching jobs after he graduated high school.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being 16 and teaching
No.
like
You would get
kids
no
that
respect.
age. Yeah, I feel sorry for students that come out of college and go directly into the classroom, particularly people that are teaching like high school age kids, because they're looking at them going,
You're not much older than me.
you're 5 years older than me. What do you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, so you can imagine the 16-year-old, and here he is teaching kids.
Crazy eyes.
Yeah, with the crazy eyes. And kids are so mean.
I know they are.
Although sometimes adults are mean too.
Yes,
Just
I'm
saying.
mean.
Sometimes I'm mean. Sometimes I'll say something that's mean. I'm laughing because we actually had a conversation today, and Angie looked at me and she goes, "That was mean," and I was like, "I know, I'm sorry. I do that sometimes."
But I say mean things too.
But I usually only say them to like my parents, my husband, or Angie, because they don't judge me. Anybody else would be like, "What? What'd she just say?" All right. Anyway, so during this time, okay, here he is, 16. He's teaching, and he meets a lady, a girl named Clara Loverling. I love that name, Loverling.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It sounds like just
Spring.
flowers and daisies and all that good stuff. Anyway, after dating for 5 months, the two married.
So he's still 16 and
Well, they're 17 by this
they're
point.
17.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, 5 months at 17 is whoa. 5 months at like 57 is like, eh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that is, but and at this time, I feel like there were really long courtships and really long engagements back then. But anyway, 5 months, they married, they're 17. So they married on July 4th. Sorry, you okay? July 4th, 1878, and they didn't live together. And I kind of got tickled at this point because my grandparents married, and then after they married, they each went back to their homes.
Really?
So my grandfather and my grandmother and my grandmother's sister and her boyfriend, the 4 of them eloped.
Okay.
And they lied on their marriage certificate because they weren't quite old enough to get married without parental consent. And so they eloped and they got married and they came back home, and my grandmother and her sister went to their house, and my grandfather and
Interesting.
my aunt's husband went to his house. And they lived like that for a while until my great-grandfather realized that what had happened, and he got the girls, and he took my grandmother to my grandfather's house, and he took my aunt to her husband's house, and he said, "You married them. They're yours."
They are.
Yeah. So that was kind of what happened. So I got tickled reading through that because I was like, "Oh my gosh, that does happen. That's a thing." Maybe still
And
is
it
a
just
thing. I don't
seems
know.
so bizarre.
It does seem bizarre, but I just was like, anyway, it doesn't take much for me to get tickled or whatever. You'll figure it out. You'll see. But they got married without their parents' approval or knowledge, and so they didn't live together. Once the parents found out about the union, they actually were fully accepting of it. They were like, okay, I guess they were like, well, it's done now.
What can we do
Guess
about it?
what? You guys need to build a life together. February 3rd of 1980, they had a son, Robert Loverling.
1980?
1980. Yeah, it was like a
Gosh,
whole
they
Moses,
lived a
Job,
long
Abraham
time.
thing. Yeah, no, excuse me. I apologize. 1880. So February 3rd of 1880, they had a son, Robert Loverling Mudgett. Now, Herman actually had taken a job at Clara's uncle's grocery store, and he was a clerk there. And he was not, like, he just kind of felt like he was above that job. And I think the birth of their son made him feel like, I really need to be fulfilling my potential. I'm educated. I want to do something more with my life. I'm no longer happy or fulfilled being in the grocery store. The job was just a little beneath him, so he set his sights on a medical career. Now, sorry, I'm a notes gal. Medical careers back then, totally different from medical careers today.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah. So, and interestingly enough, I know a lady that decided that she wanted to be a nurse, and it was a trade school, and she went for 2 years, and she was a nurse. Not at all.
I think.
It used to be that way.
Well, can't you still do an LPN?
You can, but she was an RN.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she was an RN. So what she did was she went to school. You have to understand, this is a lady that's like in her 90s.
Oh.
Yeah.
But she went to nursing school?
She went to a 2-year.
At 90?
No.
Oh.
I'm saying, like, this is how long ago this was.
Okay.
And that's why I said the medical field has, obviously, the training in the field has changed. But she went for like 2 years, and then everything else you were trained on the floor for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you're still trained on the floor through your clinicals, but you have to do your 4-year studies for nursing.
Not my niece didn't.
Did she not?
Not 4 years. Mm-mm.
Really?
And she's an RN.
But it was all clinical stuff.
She did book stuff too.
So look, right, but I think if I'm not mistaken, you do like 2 years books, and then they start putting you into clinical settings. Yeah. And so that's where I misspoke. You do clinical settings your last 2 years, which is still your education that you're doing through your university. Mm-hmm. Whereas back then, if I'm remembering what she told me correctly, after 2 years, she was turned loose, hired, and the hospital continued to train her, not the university or the school.
That's what happened.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well then forget that. I have no idea what it takes to be a nurse. Also was not ever called for that field.
Yeah. So my niece did a 2-year program through a school, and now she's on her own as an RN in the hospital.
Right. Was it accelerated?
Maybe.
I can see her doing an accelerated
she's pretty
program.
smart.
She's really smart. Yeah, I can see her doing an accelerated program. Again, I don't know how it works. If you're a nurse listening, or if you happen to know, kindly let us know how that works. But I always thought, because the friends that I have that are nurses went to university for 4 years, and they graduated with a bachelor's of science, and then they went into the nursing field, and the training continued on the job. But
my husband's niece, that is what she did.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe it just depends on where you go to school. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. Apologize for the segue. Yeah. We have to work through things here sometimes, so bear with us. But Herman decided that he wanted a medical career, and so he sought out a medical apprenticeship.
Interesting.
Didn't go to school. He literally found a doctor, Dr. Norm White, and started a year-long apprenticeship with him. He did go to school later, but this was, it was almost like trial, see if you like it, and then figure it out from there. I don't know. Dr. White specialized in human dissection. So I guess the only thing I can figure is kind of be like the coroner today, a pathologist, a forensic pathologist, something like that. So someone that is working more with cadavers versus live human bodies. That is actually the first time we see anything, and I don't even think that's weird, because somebody has to do that job.
Yeah. So
it didn't even strike me as weird that he did that. But as you go into the story, you're like, oh, well, maybe that's where we went off kilter a little bit. And I told you, it made me wonder because the family seemed so normal. Somewhere in his childhood, was there an abuse situation? Was there something that wasn't in the home per se that he was exposed to that changed things for him and changed his mindset? I don't know. We can sit here all day and speculate what might have happened. So after a year with Dr. White, he enrolled in the University of Vermont and took up a room at a boarding house owned by Mrs. Brew.
Mrs. Brew.
Just made me wonder.
If she was
were they the
coffee?
Oh, I was thinking like Budweiser, but
oh. don't know, maybe.
I don't drink beer, so
I don't either.
I would do better. My mind should have gone to coffee.
See, I have a clean mind. Ah! Teasing.
But it was funny. When you said that, I was like, why didn't I think about that?
I think
I'm
because
thinking
I'm
like
so
bootleggers.
I think because I'm so obsessed with coffee. Is probably why.
I'm obsessed with coffee too. Excuse me. We do that off air. Maybe that's a little more professional. Nothing about this is professional. I'm sorry. If you're looking for professional,
It's not us.
scroll on by. Scroll on by.
Mhm.
Okay. But he actually, now remember, he's married, he has a son, he's off at university, not with his wife, not with his son, and he's taking up a room in the boarding house with this lady. But he spends his year there pretending to be single and courting her daughter.
Oh no.
So much so that other people in the boarding house and throughout the town actually expected there to be an engagement coming.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how serious they seem to be. That wasn't happening though. During the time at the boarding house, he actually also befriended an elderly woman. And I'm assuming, based on everything I read, he was quite flirtatious with her too. He must have been very charming. Very charming.
Maybe because I've seen his picture and he's not that cute.
Well, it was funny because several things that I read, they were like, and he was handsome. And I was like, but was he?
He wasn't to me.
Like, not to me either.
Mm.
But I also didn't notice the drifty eye. So, I mean.
No. I think every picture I've seen's almost like a profile.
At an angle, yeah. And I noticed it too, and I wondered if that was why. But anyway, so he befriends this elderly woman. It's actually later that people started making the assumption she was quite wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
This is another reason I wondered if the family didn't struggle financially.
Mm-hmm.
Because people said she was very wealthy, and they later kind of connected the dots that friendship had been made for financial gain for him. Now, while he was at the boarding house, he actually became obsessed with chemistry. I'll go ahead and tell you right now, this is a little bit of a trigger warning, so if you're sensitive to things, this might be a great time to fast forward 30 seconds or whatever. But he became obsessed with chemistry and brought home the corpse of a baby that he kept under his bed to experiment on.
Oh no.
So again, I'm giving him the pass that he's working with Dr. White, and Dr. White works more with autopsies and things like that, dissection.
But why would you want to bring it home?
But now you're no. So that was when I was like, oh no, we've definitely got a red flag going on here. So after a year at the University of Vermont, he actually returns home to his wife and son and goes back to teaching. Okay. So I don't know, because obviously I don't know how medical school works in 2023. So I don't know how it worked back in the 1880s. But he did go back and he started teaching. It didn't work out well, though. Remember, he's still relatively young. At this point, he's like 18.
Yeah.
So he's still teaching people close to his own age. And he was said to be a brutal instructor, and he regularly beat his students for misbehaving.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that these days.
No, you can't. That's why I didn't want to be a teacher. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's not funny. I shouldn't joke. In 1882, he actually returned to his medical studies at the University of Michigan. Okay, so I'm a big sports fan. I love college football in particular, but collegiate sports all the way around. And I'm watching the University of Michigan game, you know, and watching the bowl games and the playoff stuff and everything, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, I wonder if they ever talk about him being a student there. I mean, every school's got, your school's got Darius Rucker. We love you.
We love you, Darius Rucker. We love you, Hootie and the Blowfish. We just love it all.
We really do. And in my mind, the only negatives that they are Carolina graduates. But that's just because I'm a Clemson girl. So, you know. Moving on. I digress again. These chairs are really squeaky, and I apologize.
They are. We need new chairs.
So, you know, if you hear us wiggling.
We need new chairs.
Okay. So he goes back to school, University of Michigan. This time his wife and son actually go with him.
Okay. So he can't date anymore.
Yeah, his dating days are over. But I wondered, what's the difference? I'm assuming it was distance.
I was going to say maybe.
Because I'm going, okay, why not take them the first go round, take them the second go round? But I'm thinking it was probably maybe a distance thing, not really sure. Or maybe it was just the time in life they were able to go, whereas before they couldn't. Unfortunately, he's not a really good husband or father, and he's abusive.
What a shocker.
I know. Yeah, it wasn't just the kids. He liked to beat up on his own family too.
Well, and he's already been dating somebody else, so
yeah,
not a good husband that way.
Correct. So, like I said, he was abusive, and his wife grew tired of the beatings, and she was like, you know what, peace out.
Good for her.
I don't have to deal with this. See you later. Bye-bye.
Good for her.
She leaves and returns to New Hampshire. Now, when she left, he actually didn't really have much to do with her. They didn't divorce. She just left. But he didn't have anything to do with her or with the son. But that's okay, because what we know is that she was in charge of the finances, and her family's where the money came from. So when she left, he then became, his lifestyle got much more simplistic because he no longer had her funding his life.
Right.
So
he broke.
He is broke, and I think that may actually be where his scams started, because he was looking for money. His Michigan boarding house was located near the Forest Hill Cemetery, and rumors began that he started grave robbing, stealing the bodies to then turn around and sell them to medical schools.
Oh,
yeah. So, and then of course, obviously, there was the rumor that this gave him access to cadavers to experiment on. So what we do know is that he was always very interested in studying the human body, but at some point it seems that we kind of went more towards a torture. How much can the human body take? You know, that kind of level of experimentation.
I just always thought grave robbing was
stealing gold teeth and jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. But no. Apparently, he would take the bones and make those skeletons that they use in medical school, and he would sell them back to the medical schools, and that was how he would make some money. That was the first thing he was doing with the bodies, then the experimentation, and then we learned later that it further goes into a scam with him doing some of the things. We'll get there.
Shocking.
Wait, hold on.
Stop.
Sorry. That was my shocking
Another TikTok trend.
No, that was my shocking thing for today. I'll give you the little quick rundown. I keep coming across these things where these people are like on the microphones. Drives me crazy. But it's a thing. And like people sit and watch these people for hours going to, as they like are trying to fall asleep, and they're in the microphone going.
And see, that would drive me crazy. I wouldn't be able to sleep.
So I'm telling Angie about it, and I'm like, what is this? And she had never heard of it. Literally, though, that today was my realization where I'm like, we have gone insane as a society. Why are there people getting famous? Sorry if this is what you do. More power to you. I'm thrilled that you figured out how to make money off of something like that. But, wait.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
And then the girl's like got the thing, and she's spraying it in her mouth, but she's shaking up. Oh, that could be. There we go. The whole time.
There you go.
My bracelet rattling.
There you go.
The whole time.
And then apparently it tasted really bad, and she's like
making these faces, and yeah. So
it was just bizarre.
Oh, my stars. again, digressing. Let's get back to the story. Regularly scheduled program. In 1884, he graduates from medical school and moves to New York.
Okay.
He actually starts working as a physician. I was about to say
At 18?
a position. Well, no, by this time he's older. I mean, he's like early 20s at this point.
Okay.
But he's working as a position, as a physician.
In a position of a physician.
Absolutely. And he's back to teaching school.
Okay.
And so again, it makes me wonder how different were things. I mean, I know it was different, but you were a doctor that needed a side hustle.
I know.
Like,
God.
okay. But like I said,
Not much business.
times were different. No, nobody was sick. So he's like, all right, let me be teaching school over here. But he was thought of as a scoundrel who abused his position as of being a doctor to carry out money-making scams. And one of the things that he did a lot of was get close with a patient, and apparently this wasn't uncommon either. I'm not really sure. I'm not putting my doctor on my insurance.
No, but my husband's a doctor, and if you'd like to put him on your insurance, I'll give you his name.
Please make her husband your beneficiary. And if you're not looking for a doctor, but you do want a beneficiary for your, no,
We'll take it.
I'm kidding. But so apparently it wasn't very uncommon for, like, let's say I take out a life insurance policy and you're my closest living relative, so I'm going to give you the policy, but I'm going to make the doctor a beneficiary of the policy too. I don't know if that was a way to say maybe I can't really afford your services, but this is what I'll do.
Maybe.
I haven't really figured that out. But he would have these people put him in as one of the beneficiaries. And then he would, remember we talked about the bodies, the graveyard bodies coming back into the scam. Then he would go steal a body. And he would report this person is dead, use this body to trick the insurance companies, and take the money.
Okay, but the actual person wasn't dead.
They weren't dead.
Okay.
He wasn't killing them at this point. He at this point was just like a con artist. The thing I haven't worked out in my head, and I haven't been able to put my finger on it, is, so you're my closest living relative, and he's claimed that I'm dead, so he's getting money. Would you not get your check too at that point?
Yeah.
And then would you not be like, I had lunch with her yesterday, and she's alive and well? So I don't really understand how that went, but I kept having to remind myself in this situation, it's not like today where you can Google someone at the click of a button. It would probably take weeks for a letter to get from you to the insurance company. And by then, I don't know. Anyway, so he quickly gained the reputation of being a scoundrel while he was in New York. So that was in 84. In the fall, not a very long-lived time in New York. In the fall of 85, he suddenly left New York, leaving behind loads of debt, which you will see is a recurring theme in this story.
It's funny because he was getting all that money from being the beneficiary.
I know. I'm like, well, where were you?
He was living a high lifestyle, apparently.
High on the hog and paying nobody.
As a scoundrel.
I'm sorry, now I'm gonna get in trouble with all the politites. I don't even know what a politite is.
I don't either.
I'm throwing it out there. I'm claiming
New
those.
word
A new
alert.
word, yes. Just letting you know. Okay, so after this, now this may be where some of you go, oh my gosh, yes, now I know who we're talking about. After this, Herman Mudgett began going by several aliases, and he was most well known for using the name H.H. Holmes, or Dr. Henry Howard Holmes. So for those of you that now have that realization, H.H. Holmes was such a bad dude, if you will. It is the first time that we use the term serial killer. He
Right.
was so evil and so he killed so many people that he is actually identified as America's first serial killer, which is why I thought, hey, let's start season 2. We're branching out from South Carolina. Let's start with America's first known serial killer. That's not to say there weren't people before this
Right.
that were killing hundreds of people. It's just to say that he's the first person that we labeled that way and knew about his crimes. So, from now on, you'll hear me speak of him as H.H. Holmes or just Holmes. So he leaves New York and he goes to Pennsylvania. Now, interestingly enough, upon arriving in Pennsylvania, he starts a job working in a mental hospital. And
He probably needed to be a patient at the mental hospital.
maybe so. But you know they say that those that can't do or whatever, so maybe, I don't know. I was going somewhere with
I
that.
was gonna say I don't know where to go with that.
And it just kind of fell flat.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
moving along.
Yes. This is where we first start having real records of him defrauding insurance companies. So this is where they start kind of catching on to, wait a second, something's not right, you know, whatever. We know that this has been happening for a while now, but this is where we first start seeing them, the light kind of going on with the insurance companies where they're like, whoa.
Okay.
So he reaches out to his old college buddy, a guy named Robert Leacock. Now, Robert is struggling financially, and the two of them set out to encourage Leacock's friend to join in this plot with them. And essentially what they're going to do is they're going to get Leacock's friend to increase his life insurance policy to $40,000 to protect his family in the event of his death.
Oh no.
Yeah. And they actually convince this guy to do it. Like, he's literally going, great idea. Let's do it.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm. So, he fakes the murder of his wife and children, or his wife and child. He had one child. He fakes their murders and then his suicide. So the key to make this work is there are 3 masterminds behind the plan, and there are 3 victims, if you will. Each of the masterminds was to steal a body, a corpse, to present to the insurance company so that, as proof of death, that they could then collect on this insurance policy that would be payable to said friends, relative, family, friend, whatever. And that, of course, would be Leacock and Holmes. So they get the bodies to represent each family member. Everything's going great. And then Holmes calls off the plan because he gets wind of the fact that the insurance companies have kind of caught on to him, and not just him, but similar scams happening across the country. And so he's like, nope, it's too much. We're not doing this. So this 3 brilliant trio, they already have the bodies. So they just shove the bodies into like barrels and put them in a warehouse.
Save them for later.
Like, and they talked about the stench
Well, yeah.
of the decaying body.
Right.
But then it was just like it died on the vine. Like, I can't find where we go from there.
You know, we were talking about Bob Dylan's yard yesterday.
Bob Dylan. Oh, Bob. Okay, so you're like, all right, well, that's Pennsylvania. Well, the next thing we know, he's moving to Minneapolis.
Wow. He's a traveler.
He is a traveler, and again, doesn't stay anywhere long, because if you remember, sorry, check my notes. In the fall of 1885, right?
Mm-hmm.
He leaves New York, he goes to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
In November of 1885, so he was in Pennsylvania for like, what, a month?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just pointing that out to say, dude would have had some airline miles
Yeah.
had it been later in, whatever. So in November of 1885, Holmes worked for a short time as a drug clerk in Minneapolis. This is when he met his second wife. Now remember, he's never divorced from the first wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but he meets his second wife, Myrta Belknap. Little is known of her except that they were married towards the end of 1886.
So they dated a while.
A little while. Despite the fact that Clara never agreed to a divorce, he never filed for divorce.
He's a polygamist.
He is a polygamist. So, also, y'all, I'm sorry, my face is itching. The allergies in South Carolina are so real, and right now they're right here. So, he is a polygamist. And again, that's a theme you will see reoccur throughout
Great.
this story. So Myrta actually took the Holmes name, and the belief is that she was completely unaware that that was not actually her husband's name.
Oh.
Yeah. So she was Myrta.
Yeah, that just dawned on me.
Yeah, she was Myrta Holmes, not Myrta Mudgett.
Right.
So,
Poor Myrta.
I know, bless her heart. She didn't realize it was an alias. So the couple moved into Englewood, Chicago, and they bought a small little piece of land in Myrta's name. Now, why is it
Interesting.
important that it's in Myrta's name? You'll see. But this little piece of land is located across the street from Holton's drugstore, which is where Holmes took a job as a drug clerk. And he, a pharmacist, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because late in other research, I found it say pharmacist, and it's written out that way too.
Mhm.
So the rumor was that Holmes had wandered into the drugstore where he found an elderly Elizabeth Holton barely able to run the store. She was trying to take care of it alone. Her husband was Dr. Holton, who was upstairs, deathly ill.
Okay.
And so the rumor was that Holmes took over running the store, and then shortly after, the Holtons disappeared. Holmes told everyone that they moved away, but the talk was that he had murdered the couple and taken the store over. Now,
Maybe.
remember when we started this conversation, I said the problem is when you go this far back, you have records that aren't exactly accurate. You get people that want to spin a tale. It gets very sensationalized, things like that. That's what happened in this situation, because the truth of the matter is Holmes knew Elizabeth Holton because they had studied together at the University of Michigan.
Oh.
So he had met her in college, and she earned a medical degree, not her husband. She was the doctor.
Wow.
Also, Dr. Holton and Mr. Holton were not elderly or in poor health. They were very healthy, and they were about the same age as Holmes.
I was going to say they couldn't have been elderly.
Right. And I was going to say, as you remember, we're
Mhm.
talking about a relatively young man at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were about the same age.
Okay.
What ended up happening was that Dr. Holton decided to sell her business when she learned she was expecting her second child.
Mm-hmm.
And Holmes offered to buy it with a mortgage he obtained through fraud, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, she got her money, so
She didn't care.
yeah, what difference did it make? But it just, I mentioned that to say that there are things in this story that we can link back and prove are true, but there are so many things. My hair's so flat. There are so many things in this story that we can't. There are people that he's accused of murdering that later show up. They're still very much alive. There are things that he's accused of doing. There are things that he claims to have done that we then find out that he didn't do. So not only do you have this hodgepodge of information going around, and again, people sensationalizing it and getting caught up in making him this monster, which he was. I am not saying he was not a monster. He was. But they would spin and spin, and it would get deeper and deeper until we lost sight of a lot of what the truth was.
Sounds like the media now.
It does sound like me. You know, it's so funny that you said that, because I was like, we act like this wild media web that goes on is something new. It's not. The concept's not new. It's the medium that they use. Now it's a 24-hour news cycle, so it's always in your face. But back then, it
was just the rumor mill.
Yeah, these reporters would report to the or these people would report to the reporters at the newspaper, and they would print it, not fact check it, and that was that. And so suddenly you have, you know, all these people that Holmes supposedly killed, and he did kill people, again, not taking away from anything that he did. He did kill people, but it's hard to know what's the truth. How many people did he actually kill? Right. How did he kill them? Because so much of it is hearsay, and that being one of the proofs of that. So those of you that know the story know that he lived in a building called the Holmes Castle.
Okay. Was it a castle?
Not a castle.
Okay.
It was a rather large building, particularly in that day. But in the summer of 1887, you remember he and Myrna bought the little plot of land across the street from the drugstore. Well, in 1887, they started construction on a new building on that land. The plan was for a 2-story building with retail space on the street level and apartments on the second floor.
Okay.
So the idea was multiple businesses on that ground level, and then the employees would become tenants in the apartment above.
I mean, that's pretty smart.
Yeah, make life easy for you. I used to always say I wanted to live above where I worked, and then I realized that that meant that you never escaped work, and I was like, I don't want to live above where I work.
Yeah.
Probably not even in the same zip code, but whatever. It's a small town. We can get away with working in different zip codes.
I don't work in a different zip code.
You do?
Yes, I do.
I don't work in a different zip code. You do.
How about that? And I didn't even realize it.
Right? But anyway, so I keep taking my bracelet on and off because I don't want the sound to distract. I apologize. So the building was basic when it was viewed from the outside. It was the inside that was like, what in the world is going on here? So again, you'll hear me say a lot through the story, the rumor is, because while it does seem to be very true, we don't have 100% proof. So the rumor is that Holmes would hire a group of construction workers, and he would have them work for a week, and then he would relieve them and bring in a new construction company to do a week's work and then relieve them.
Is there a reason why?
There are 2 rules of thought on that. One was, remember, he's not very good at paying his bills.
Okay.
I'm going to get a week's work out of you, and then I'm going to fire you, tell you that the check's in the mail, and never pay you for the work that you did.
Okay.
Which we can prove was happening. The second thought process was that he didn't want anyone to know too much about the interior of the Holmes Castle, because he was building a very bizarre murderer's playground. This building...
It was probably both reasons, really.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of truth in both of those. There were hidden compartments, trap doors. There were gas lines that were run through the walls into the apartments. Like, not because he had gas heat or there was a fireplace. like gas that he was
Chambers?
using. Chambers, yes. But like chutes in one of the bathrooms, there was like a small opening that a human body could fit into that led to the basement.
Like a laundry chute.
Like a laundry chute, but it was a body chute. Yeah. Again, hidden doorway or hidden stairwells, rooms behind rooms that serve no purpose. So like here's your apartment and there's a little bitty room right here that seemed to serve no purpose. It did, of course, for him, but it didn't in the grand scheme of the building. He didn't want these construction workers questioning why this apartment had this little bitty room. So that was kind of how he kept questions down. Now, obviously, these architects and construction workers put in their work, and then they're dismissed, and then they don't get paid. So what do?
They sue him.
They start filing lawsuits. So during the construction of this building, he is constantly being sued. But ever the con man, remember, Holmes was not putting anything in his name.
Oh, that's right. He put it in Murda's name.
Murda's name, Murda's mother's name, other random names that he plucked from the sky. And this is not a time when you have a social security number. In fact, I looked that up. Social security numbers weren't issued until 1936.
Okay.
This is back in 1887. So, and even if it
So
has
there's no
been,
way to track it.
there's no
really.
way to track people.
Mhm.
No, social security numbers were actually put into place to track earnings by American workers.
Mhm.
I'm gonna get in so much trouble. I'm not trying to be political. I just, whatever. Anyway, you gotta go. Is it your
No.
bedtime?
It's my bedtime. No, my husband has sent me a
He's like, when you coming
picture, and I bet it's
home? The puppies.
It's my
I
puppies.
love those babies. What did they
I
tear
don't know
up?
if you can see it.
Hold on, pull it up big. Okay, now try to
Oh
do it.
goodness!
They
Oh,
tore something up.
they've torn something up.
Oh, it's their toy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They tear their toys up.
Is it the alligator?
No, they've already torn up the second alligator.
What about the banana?
The banana doesn't really have fuzz in
It
it.
doesn't. You're right. It's more of a soft. We keep having to apologize. We're gonna get in trouble. Nobody's gonna tune in next week for the conclusion of the story.
No, we're gonna be like,
So sorry. Okay. But he's putting everything in all of these names. So when these people come to sue him, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
that's not
It
my
was
name.
Yeah, it was their fault. I had nothing to do with that. Myrna did it. Myrna's mama did it.
Mhm.
Wasn't me.
I mean, he's pretty crafty.
Yeah, he is pretty crafty. So, he's laying all of this blame at these women's feet. And I'm going, okay, so did they not then go, Myrna, we have a lawsuit against you? At which case she'd be like, what the? Really?
Yeah.
I'm not building that building. He is. Apparently nobody, questioned anybody. I'm like, where you going? Where you been? I'm not really. But, in a situation like that, I think you would follow up a little bit more than, oh, it was in her name. Okay, we don't need to talk to her. Of
Yeah.
course you do.
Yeah.
All right, it's in your wife's name. We're going to need to have a conversation with her. Bring her in, please. But whatever. I don't know.
Weird.
Anyway, so as in New York, Holmes actually starts earning a reputation as a swindler, and he's setting up numerous cons, like literally things. He got people to invest in things like how he could turn a little bit of water into all of this gas to power things, and it was a scam because he was just using the gas lines that were in his building.
Mhm.
Or, again, being that he is a physician, he tells them that he's got this healing water and it's going to take care of all of their ailments. And he's just filling up bottles of water from his basement and selling them at a high price to the public. So he's constantly doing things like that, coming up with all these different ways to separate people from his money. He was really known for buying things on credit.
Mhm.
So, of course, just like today, good faith, you let me have that, I'll pay you for it later.
Right.
He would buy things on credit, obviously not in his own name.
Yeah.
He'd turn around and he'd sell the item for cash, but he never actually paid the credit bill. He would also, and you and I talked about this.
Scurvy.
He is something else.
Mm-hmm.
He is something else. But he would also buy large items on credit. For example, he had a furnace, like not a furnace, but what do they call it? He had the ability to cremate people in this building.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like the huge furnace, whatever that's technically called. My husband's gonna be so disappointed because my father-in-law was a mortician, and
A cremating machine.
Yeah, a crematorium.
There you go.
He had a crematorium in the basement. Not sure why. It's a pharmacist,
I think we
some
know.
shops, and whatever. But yeah, so he has that in the building. So he's got all this huge equipment to do that, and then he brings in like this massive safe that I think he's locking medicines and stuff like that in, and of course, being so crafty, he has them build these items into the building. So when they're building the building, they're encasing these things into cement, right? So when the creditors come to reclaim the items that he has
They're not there?
paid for, no, they're there.
But they're hidden.
No, they're not even hidden. Not this time.
I'm so confused.
He does start hiding stuff later. But like, so here's this huge safe, but it's encased it's a part of the building. And he says to them, well, that's fine, take it. But if you damage my building, I will sue you.
Oh, now I get it.
Well, they can't take the safe
Without damaging
damaging the building. So they would leave and actually never pursue any further getting their items back or getting payment for their items.
I guess during that time there really was no recourse they could take.
It must have just been a different time. It's the only thing I can figure, because I'm just like, what, huh? But yeah, they would come to repossess, and he would say, well, I'll sue. That's fine. You can take it. I'll sue you. And they would go, oh, okay. Have a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
And like, leave.
So
They'll be like, give me my stuff, man.
I know.
But whatever.
I want my furnace back.
I know. Where are we on time? Okay. I'm trying to see if I can hit this next section. Oh, it's a pretty long section.
So should we just wait for part 2? Or?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to part 2 this. And I promise I will, like, force myself. Sorry, I'm folding my notes so I can find my place again.
Mm-hmm.
I will force myself to stay on topic, and we will endorse products next go round. We'll just...
I don't know. It depends on what we find that we like.
Yeah, no, if we find something that you guys can't live without that we truly believe will benefit your life, we're telling you all about it. I mean, let's just be honest. You're going to find out about it. So.
Yep. Because you need to know.
You have to know. The whole point of living life, one of the things that we didn't address in the opening is that Angie and I are people of faith. We try to never push that on you, shove it down your throat. But you'll hear us say praying for things, or will God work that, so you'll hear that. If it's offensive to you, I apologize. It's not intended to be offensive, but I'm also not going to not be who I am, which is a person of faith. So there's a common belief among Christians and believers that you go through things in life to help someone else that's going through something through it. I feel that way as a purchaser of items too. If I find something good, it is my duty to share it with you. So I'll try not to buy anything between this week and next week, but I'm making no promises.
I
promises.
can hardly go a day without buying something, so.
We have a little gift shop down the way, and Angie actually has started helping them out.
because I
she
go down
buys
there so
much from them.
I know what they've got, so I can just direct people.
And I'll come out from the back, and Angie will be texting with the owners of the gift shop, and she's like, "Oh, they got these new shoes, and I just gave them my credit card. They're bringing them down." Like there are days that
They deliver.
Yeah, they deliver
to me.
to her at work. Sometimes multiple times a day.
Yeah, it depends on, what stock they get in that they put out that I see.
Oh wait, if your husband is watching this, she doesn't buy anything. Ignore what we just said. We're just plugging the business down the way. That's the only thing that was all about.
Unfortunately, he knows.
He does know. Shopaholic much? No, it's good. I'm not judging.
Oh.
I refuse to judge. Hello, I am now buying off of. I am buying off of TikTok. I am in no position to judge anyone. Okay, sorry.
I'm a clothes fanatic. Clothes, purses, shoes, makeup, everything.
Oh, wait, that reminds me of something. Hang on. Keep them entertained for a second.
I don't know how entertaining I can be, but
You are.
she's literally just slapping on some lip gloss.
No, I'm struggling right now with chapped lips.
Same.
Because the weather keeps hot, cold, hot, cold. Not hot, but warmer. Like I think yesterday it was in the 70s, today it was in the 60s, and by the weekend it's going to be in the 40s. So we have these drastic swings, and then I end up, and I lick my lips a lot because I talk a lot. I know nobody believes that. Like you guys are floored, but it does happen. And so I try to keep chapstick or lip gloss on, and since we're going more YouTube, I thought we'll at least make an effort and do lipstick or gloss. So
She always looks pretty.
they can see me now, Angie. You don't have to lie anymore. It's not
I'm
just
not lying.
It's not just audio. They have visual now. So
She looked good.
but I was like, oh, my lips are hurting. I need some lip gloss. And since we're plugging things, if you're interested, this is the lip gloss that I was applying.
And
This
it is pretty fabulous.
It is really good. It feels good. It smells good. It doesn't have a taste, but it's Merle Norman. Oh,
and it
here we go.
has just enough color.
Just enough. I know I do have it on top of a lipstick, but anyway, neither here nor there. Merle Norman Gumdrop. Okay,
Oh, is that Gumdrop? Okay.
I think so.
I thought it was City Girl.
Gumdrop. No, see, girls. No, it's got a little more color. So, anyway, sorry. Anybody else you want to plug?
I don't think so.
I promise we're not gonna do it every time. It just. I'm gonna be honest. So, with us being new to YouTube, it's gonna take some getting used to. I'm a little nervous about it.
I'm very nervous, and I know I
So-
keep looking at myself, but I need to know what myself is doing. Like,
But it's funny because I'm looking at you here.
yeah,
Wait, hold on.
where?
I'm tickling your nose. Sorry. On this, you missed that whole thing. I'm going. We're gonna have to erase the whole episode and do it again because I'm so ridiculous. No. I really am sorry. I will get myself together, and I'm not going to promise to be more professional, but I will try to get myself together and not be so
Well,
goofy.
I think we're both nervous tonight, and my personality will come out more as we go along.
They're probably hoping my personality runs for the hills.
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
They're like, can you take an Allegra and some medicine for your ADD and stop.
Oh my gosh.
They're gonna be like, can you let the other girl talk next week?
No, they don't want to hear my voice that much.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. But
Oh, Johnny Cash. You could advertise your Johnny Cash shirt.
I do have on a Johnny Cash shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
We love us.
There's
some
his
Johnny
face.
Cash.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, we love Johnny Cash. We love music.
We
so-
do love music and coffee. Did I mention we love coffee?
Well, all you wanted to talk about was beer.
I don't even like beer. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, we're gonna have to redo this. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't have the to redo it.
I don't think I do either.
Okay. All right. So enough of us being goofy and silly.
It's the end of our day. We're tired.
We've been here all day. As you, like I said, you can see it's dark outside. Oh, by the way, this is Mr. Nuts, and he is our producer. No, Angie, you said he's Mr. Nuts Cracker.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Because that's what he is.
He's
He's
a
a
nutcracker.
nutcracker.
But yeah, we've been here all day, so we're just kind of a little silly. I promise next time we will, like I said, we'll settle in. It's kind of nerve wracking. It's weird to, okay, so again, I'm ADD. I talk with my hands. Every time my hand moves, I'm like, what was that? And then I'm looking here. Yeah. People are going to be seasick from my hand motions.
No, they won't.
They will be. I will be
Not
seasick.
Southern people, because we all talk with our hands.
Sorry if you're from the north. Okay. Anything we need to anything we need to cover?
Frog there?
Yeah, seriously. Excuse me again.
I don't think so. I think we've. Oh my word! What are you doing? Just put that Stanley Cup in there. Everybody knows we got one.
There we go.
I keep drinking out of mine, so
And
it's
like,
alright.
it kind of makes me feel kind of cool.
Cause you got a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
See, I tell her all the cool things.
She does tell me all the cool things. Actually, Angie keeps me young. I'm 73. And Angie helps me stay in the know. And
She's
keeps me
not
cool.
73. Obviously, you can tell that. She's younger than me. By a good bit.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Anyway, no, I'm not. Okay, so like I said, we'll get our junk together. We'll figure out lighting, sound, different things. Angie will bring her microphone
Yes, I did forget my microphone
next
today.
week, so we don't.
And it's pink and it's so pretty. And I hope y'all can see it on the screen.
I bought it for her.
She did. She has a purple one, but.
No, mine's blue. Oh no, we do
you
have a purple one.
purple
It just
one. It's
It's over there
just
somewhere.
over there.
and it's really big. Oh, that would have been a good. I could have put it like right in my face and been like,
Stop.
"Hello, world." But anyway,
I'm gonna wear a mask.
we should have masked up. Hold on, wait a second. Oh my gosh,
Stop.
it's so bad. It's so bad. It may be the worst podcast we've ever done, and it's all YouTube's fault. It's like, oh, they don't get out much. They don't know how to act like humans. Sorry.
We do, though. We go out a lot.
But we
People
have to
just don't invite us back.
go one time. So when we go really nice places, we know how to like act like we've got sense. But this is, you know,
It's a nice place.
it is. But it's after hours at work. You know, be glad I'm not in my pajamas.
If we record at my house, chances are I will be in my
She
pajamas.
will be in her pajamas. Yeah, that's okay. I'll bring my I bring my pajamas too.
I will still wear my makeup because you do not want to see this face.
Although,
without makeup.
when we podcast, you would go home and clean your face.
Oh, I
before we'd start.
Yes, when we were just doing sound.
And then I had to like throw a whole
Yeah.
kink in the plan. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll get it together.
We still friends? Okay. All right. No, seriously. I don't think we have anything really to say other than thanks for joining us.
Yes, we'll see you next time.
Keep
I
each
hope-
other safe. Watch out for weird guys that want to throw you down chutes and things and
Yeah.
like dig up graves. And if anybody tries to get you to up your insurance, just tell them no.
Yeah, especially if they're not related to you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not your insurance salesman.
Right.
He
Yeah,
might have a good
that's
reason.
true.
But yeah. So I think that's everything. And like I said, we'll figure it all out. Just bear with us. And oh my gosh, we're gonna look back at this and be so embarrassed one day. Okay, fair enough.
I don't get embarrassed easy. You don't.
I kind of do a little. Okay. All right.